Today we're going to be looking at unlocking the hidden potential in your sports car, whether it's a C8 Z06 like mine, or a C8 Stingray, or frankly any sports car out there. It does it by allowing you to fully customize your throttle input, acting as a throttle controller, but it also has the added benefit of having its own internal kill switch to act as an anti-theft deterrent. So let's get started with this video. So thanks for tuning into the channel, guys, and like I said, I am really excited about this product. It comes from SOLER Performance. It is their throttle controller that we're going to be installing on the C8 Z06. But if you don't have a C8 Z06, that's perfectly okay. This is actually going to fit on a whole bunch of different cars, whether it's a C8 Stingray, C7 Corvette, C6 Corvette, heck, a whole bunch of different kind of sports cars and trucks for that matter, like Camaros, Jeeps, all different kinds of stuff, Audi. And to top it all off, we are actually going to be doing a giveaway and giving away one of these throttle controllers on the channel as our official second giveaway of the channel. So I'm really excited, and if you're interested in entering the giveaway, it's really easy. All you have to do is just comment in the section, "I want the throttle controller," and that will put you in the running. And I'll announce a winner sometime in the beginning of 2025. But if you don't want to wait to potentially win one of these, you can use my discount code New Horizon on their website and save yourself a little bit of money. But why would anyone want to buy a throttle controller? Well, first off, this comes with a 30-day full satisfaction guaranteed or your money back. And I'm not just talking that you got to pay to ship it back. No, SOLER will send you a shipping label to send this back and fully reimburse you, no restocking fee or anything whatsoever. So there is really no risk to try this. But secondly, and more importantly, car manufacturers set up their throttle maps in what's called a ramped up method, especially for their higher end, more powerful cars. What that means is that on the lower end of the throttle input, it's kind of a little bit stagnant, it's a little bit lazy, and it doesn't really start getting more sensitive until you get past that halfway mark. In particular, for example, at the halfway mark, if let's say you have the throttle pedal put down 50%, you're not actually getting 50% throttle, you're actually getting more around like 25% throttle. That's what's getting interpreted by the ECU and then translate that to the motor and power onto the road. SOLER Throttles controller comes in and removes that ramp up and goes for a more linear approach that is fully customizable, but it starts at a 1-to-1 ratio. So 25% throttle input is 25% throttle output from the ECU, 50% is 50%, 75 is 75, and so on. So you're getting exactly what you're wanting from your throttle instead of it being less sensitive between 0 to 50 and then really sensitive from 50 to 100% throttle. And that customization makes it so that you know exactly what is going on when you put your foot on the gas. And thirdly, I like to kind of go a little bit more in depth on the special feature that this throttle controller has, which is essentially a throttle kill switch. Because this controls the throttle from the pedal to the actual ECU, you can actually lock out the throttle from this piece. So it makes this piece not only something that fully customizes your throttle, but actually acts as a theft deterrent. It's not an anti-theft system, but a theft deterrent that if a thief for whatever reason gets in the car, even gets it started and turns on, if you have this in the lock position, they're not really gonna be able to go anywhere. And it's gonna take them a little bit of time to figure out what's going on. If that, unless they just give up and try to find another car that's easier to steal. And on top of that, certain insurance companies are recognizing this product in particular as a passive theft deterrent system. So it's one of those things that actually can save you a little bit of money on your insurance if you state that you have one of these installed. And this product, by the way, goes for a pretty reasonable price of around $200 depending on when you get it and if there's a sale going on. And if you use like my discount code New Horizon, save yourself a little bit of money on it. Now, the biggest question I'm probably gonna get in the comments is, well, why would somebody want to get this? Couldn't you just put your foot down a little bit more on the throttle and get the same effect? Well, not exactly. And that's because of the ramp up on the OEM throttle map. It's spongy and laggy in that 0 to 50% mark, and then super sensitive from 50 to 100%. So this takes out that lag, that hesitation, if you will, by linearizing that process. It's great for those that want to use their higher end sports cars on a daily or just on a normal occasion. And even frankly, even on the track, because this thing can fully customize your throttle. So So you can set it up exactly to your driving preference. That's where the power of this comes from, instead of being just stuck with the OEM throttle mapping that, is supposed to fit as many people as possible in regards to their driving style. And on top of that, the throttle map is developed for emissions and all that kind of stuff. And also, frankly, for higher end, more powerful sports cars, they want it to be a little bit more loosey-goosey in the 0 to 50% range, especially for someone that's trying to buy this car for the first time, never had a high-end sports car, and they don't want their customers to crash, especially until they get used to it. Well, they don't want them to crash, period, but you get what I'm trying to say. But for car enthusiasts and those that have gotten used to their high horsepower cars and such, this allows you to now customize it to how you want it exactly. And this product has been out for a little bit of time. It's definitely noticed and recognized by the community, by the Corvette community in particular, of how well this product works. And it's not from people like me that are sponsored with Solar Performance. They sing their praise. And then frankly, other YouTubers like Rick Conti and Justin from Horsepower Obsessed, they love this product. And frankly, I know I'm gonna love this too. I have their throttle bodies in the C8 Corvette, their Gen 2 91mm throttle bodies. This fits the other part of the equation to get me the most bang for my buck in regards to my C8 Z06 and that LT6 motor that actually, just because of how it's designed, is a little bit lazy on the lower to mid power band range. And between this and the new throttle body makes a huge difference in regards to how lively it is, that I don't have to be on the high RPM range, the high power band range, to be able to really get the full grunt and power from this car. All right, so let's take a look at what you get inside this little box here. So opening this up, the first thing that we are going to see is this little transmitter right here. Now this thing is how you're going to program the different modes, make the customization and such, but you don't technically really even need this little piece, because this works with a phone app that you can download on your phone, whether it's an Android or an Apple phone. And you can do all the customization via your phone and also lock and unlock the throttle with your phone app. But Solar likes this little transmitter piece because it has the little screen, you can change the modes, and you can set this up in the car whether it's visible that you can see it, or you can install it in a stealth-like manner so that it looks OEM and you're not gonna even know that it's there. That's how we're gonna set it up in the Z06, and we're gonna show you how exactly to set it up in a stealth kind of way, so you wouldn't even know that it's there unless somebody told you. Now let's talk about the modes that are going on with this little module and such. Now I'm gonna show a little table that actually comes from Solar Performance that kind of explains how these throttle modes work. Now the table is set up with throttle input being your pedal position and how that translates to throttle output to the ECU and then ultimately your engine and onto the road. And you have all the different modes that you can see, starting with drag mode, which is super, super aggressive. Literally just only use it for the drag strip if you ever want to even use it. Then you have like ludicrous mode, then sport mode, then comfort mode, and then eco mode kind of deal, which I don't think anybody would ever even use eco mode for this, but Solar even thought of that in regards to that. So they also have settings within those modes from 0 to 10, so you can actually adjust the sensitivity within that mode. That's kind of where you're seeing the shades of each region in regards to the customization that you can do. And I believe there's about 64 different combinations of throttle customization that you can actually do, which is pretty good. And I think covers almost all the different bases that you could possibly have. You also have a couple of modes that are like valet mode and weather mode that will actually restrict the throttle to around like 66%. So even if whoever's driving your car, or if you're driving your car in really heavy weather, snow weather or whatnot, and you mash on the gas, it's only going to let you have about 66% at max. So really, really cool in regards to that. Now I'm gonna add an extra line here, a little red line, that is gonna kind of represent what the ramp up line looks like. And if you notice, for example, at the 50% pedal position, you're only getting about 25% throttle output. And that's kind of what I'm trying to demonstrate in regards to that ramp up, in regards to it's not that sensitive, in regards to like 0 to 50%, you're not even getting like around 25% horsepower even at 50%, which to be honest, it might not be what you want. You might want something that's a little bit more linear, a little bit more expected kind of deal. And again, the line is not perfectly to scale. It is just giving you a representation of the difference of what's going on here. And again, you can control all of these in real time via the phone app. You don't even have to use this little module here in order to change between the different modes. I will caveat, you do need to have this still plugged in because this is the receiver and transmitter in regards to the actual throttle from the phone app. So if you do want to change modes, you have to have this plugged in. But if you're okay with one particular mode that you're dialed in, that's exactly what you want to do. You can then remove this piece here and just use the actual module, how it's been set up, and you're good to go. Now, okay, so now that we've shown you this little module here, let's take a look at what's also in the box. So opening up the rest of the box, we have the actual controller unit here that's nicely packaged, all very, very tidy. So you have your actual input connector and such, and your output connector, and also the USB that then attaches to this little module here. So again, all of this stuff, I mean, the wiring, it might look a little bit intimidating kind of deal of where you're going to be doing this stuff. Trust me guys, this is super, super easy to install. And honestly, it's going to be the same process whether you have a C8 Z06 like mine, or regular Stingray, or just even honestly any other car out there. They all use the same kind of principle of how this works. So overall, really, really cool little device here in regards to that. This is what's going to be doing all the modulation and stuff like that. This is basically built like a specialized receiver with a little nice display and such. And then on top of that, it also comes with a couple of zip ties, and also it comes also with a little manual, which works also as well. So now that we talked about this a little bit, let's go ahead and install this in the car and show you how it really is on the road. So alrighty guys, so we have finished installing the throttle controller from Solar Performance, and it actually took a little bit of time to actually test it out, all the functions and features, so I can give you a really good solid opinion on this. But now that I've tested it for a little bit of time, we are actually in my usual spot that I like to film and such, and I'm gonna go for a quick little drive so I can kind of give you a feel of what's going on with the throttle controller. Alrighty, starting the C8 Corvette Z06. That never gets old. So, alrighty, so now that the car is on, I have the actual app already installed on the car. It's been synced with my throttle controller. So how it looks once the car is started, that actually feeds the power to the actual Bluetooth power module where it can then talk with the app and such. So you have to have the car on in order to change the settings and such. But it is really, really simple to connect it and then actually adjust your throttle settings to whatever you're feeling. So going into the app, which is really, really easy, everything is exactly how I would expect it to. I already have a few settings that I personally like a lot. And I actually ended up there's two different settings that, depending on the kind of driving that I'm doing, really works with my style kind of deal. But going through the different modes, you have your original equipment. I tried that out. It feels exactly like OEM, where you kind of have that ramp up in regards to your throttle input. It felt exactly the same. So I think in regards to if you ever just want to do OEM kind of deal and you just want the benefit of the throttle lockout, and kill switch if you will, then you can do that as well. And the lockout feature, I tested it out. It's pretty good. Like, for example, we'll try out the lockout right now. So all I got to do is go into the settings and enable the lock method, and I could stomp on the gas like I am right now, and nothing is going on. But I will say there is one little caveat to this, is that I could still put this in technically in drive or reverse or manual, if you will, and you won't be able to give any throttle input, but you can creep along. So if I were to put it in drive right now and take my foot off the brake, the car will still move, kind of deal. So the only difference is that with the lockout, I can hit the throttle and it's not going to go anywhere. That's where it could technically get defeated in regards to this throttle controller kind of deal. Again, it's not a complete anti-theft system, but it is a deterrent, because I guarantee you any thief that is trying to steal your Corvette, unless they got a full-on car tow trailer and all that kind of stuff, they're going to be dumbfounded for a little bit of time as of what the heck is going on with this car. Even if they see the module, which is tiny, they're going to be like, what the hell is this? Maybe if I unplug it, no, it still leaves the car in lock mode kind of deal. So it's one of those things. It is going to dumbfound them until they understand that it's Solar Performance's throttle controller, and then figure out how to actually hook up to it to then be able to unlock the throttle. So they have to go through so many hoops of understanding what's going on before they actually steal this car. And in most cases, even if they get to the successful point of starting the car and all that, they're probably going to give up, because it's going to take them 30, 45 minutes, an hour, couple hours getting nowhere. And by that time, somebody most likely noticed, depending on where you have this car stored, if it's in a garage, you got some security cameras, or if it's just, out and about and you're coming back to your car from shopping or something. Again, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee if you don't like this product, kind of deal. So there really isn't much to lose from this. So in any case, I'm going to unlock my my throttle again. So now I have my throttle back. And we're going to take a quick drive with this and show you just an example of the different modes. And depending on how I have my foot planted, you'll actually see a difference in the amount of throttle that's given to the car. I'm going to start off in the OEM setting, and then we're going to jump into some of these other ones. There is also the artificial intelligence mode. I haven't tried that out. I might do a separate video just after a while testing the artificial intelligence and see how well it does and such, because I feel like that's going to take some time for it to, I guess, learn my driving style. All right, so let's get moving. So right now I have it in the OEM setting, And I've been playing around with this for a little bit of time, so this is the first time I've actually had it in the OEM setting, and man, going from the different throttle settings that I had before to this, it feels so sluggish, and like I need to give it way more like freaking just to get the same kind of feel that I was getting from the other more aggressive settings. There's no, like, I'm feeling that lag, and it's just so apparent kind of deal. So it's very much like I'm not feeling that that throttle, that OEM throttle. So okay, a little bit of a stoplight here. By the way, I'm gonna be going through the different drive modes as I'm driving. Big disclaimer, don't do that, even though I'm going to do that. I am only doing it to demonstrate the difference in the throttle by, like, let's say if I had the throttle 25% and changing the different modes, it changes your throttle in like output. So you'll get jumped into your seat depending, or vice versa. And it can be a little bit hazardous, especially if you have other cars around and stuff like that. So don't do that. Find a setting while you're stationary and just try it out, doing a few laps in your neighborhood or like on a local highway or something like that. So just keep in mind that there is a significant difference. So, okay, so right now I'm in OEM mode. I am going to go into sport mode, into sport 6. I already have it pre-selected, just so I can show you the difference that's happening. So I have about 25% throttle input. So changing it to sport, that's the difference that's going on there. So the immediate difference is that there's way more throttle input, and it's way more balanced to a more aggressive style that I am totally for. It makes the car definitely come alive and just make a lot more of the throttle useful inputs, rather than it just always being sluggish from like the 0 to 50% throttle input mark. It's way more balanced, in my opinion, in regards to getting a better feel for your throttle. And this is in the Sport 6 mode setting, which I found was really good. It really hit the mark in regards to just getting it feeling correct kind of deal. So now I'm going to go in from Sport 6 into my other setting that I actually really like, which is Comfort 4, if I remember correctly. So let me get on this street real quick. All right, so I have about 25% input of throttle. It's giving me probably about 40% of throttle input. So I'm gonna go into Comfort 4. So now I can tell it's taken away some of that throttle output, going to this different setting that is a little bit less aggressive and is way more linear. I find that the comfort mode is a little bit more linear, like a 1-to-1 ratio, as compared to the like sport or 6, and then ludicrous and drag is just very aggressive in regards to like a quarter of your throttle is more like 75%, which is that's just insane. That's too much for me personally. But overall, I like how Comfort is still, compared to OEM, it is significantly improved. That there is no lag, in my opinion, no sponginess in the throttle input, because I don't have that ramp in the throttle, and it's more linear. So it's one of those things, actually, ironically, from a track point of view, like track setting point of view, I actually find the comfort setting more applicable for tracking than the sport or the other settings. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because the comfort setting more gears it towards a true 1-to-1 ratio, or a little bit more aggressive to that, I have way more control of the entire throttle input from the 0 to wide open throttle. I know exactly, based on where my placement on my foot is on the throttle, I know exactly how much throttle output I'm getting. So I have way more finesse and control throughout the entire range on just like a mild comfort setting, which is so funny to me. Why I bring this up is because I've done tracking, and I caveat that in regards to, I haven't done tracking with the C8 Corvette, but I've done a lot of tracking, believe it or not, on motorcycles. That was a lot. I did a lot of that in my youth. And one of the big things was the throttle input, especially on the motorcycle, leaning into corners, all that kind of stuff. It is vital to have a good understanding of what's going on. And the throttle input on my motorcycle, I actually customized. I got a custom throttle input for a little bit more usability on my end. The OEM throttle on my sport bike on the track is actually also a ramp up, which was really annoying because I needed an exact linear level of throttle and it wasn't doing it. But this, but going to my aftermarket, it made a huge difference. And this is making an even bigger difference. So ironically for me, I find it, if I'm being more casual with my driving, I'll do a more aggressive driving throttle input, like Sport 6 for me personally. But if I'm at the track, then I go to like Comfort 4, and I can actually have way more linear and like readily anticipated and usable throttle input kind of deal. And it makes a huge difference. It's funny because it's just one of those things where I didn't expect this to be as much of a difference. To be honest, I'm like very, very honest. I wasn't expecting this to be that much of a difference. And this thing is really blowing my mind with how good it freaking does. So let me go back to Sport 6. That's just so fun going from the different mode to this with my throttle being the same exact like input kind of deal. Like I said, I wouldn't do that unless you're very, very much like accustomed to how much your C8 Corvette or any car you use, like how much that really is gonna really mean to input kind of deal. But that's actually kind of fun. And again, if you're interested in this part for your ride, definitely use my discount code New Horizon. Save 5% on your order should you choose to buy one. I think they're definitely worth it. Yeah, I'm so shocked. I really wish I had done this before years ago, frankly, even just for my Stingray, because this has been out on the market for a little bit of time now. Not even just my own personal input. There's other people, just general customers, that rave about this thing, and I can definitely see why. So in any case, I think that's going to do it for this video. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, please check out any of my other videos, and we'll see you next time. Take care, guys.